What's up guys, Sub-Zero here, back for another VOD review. Today, doing another Dishsoap VOD review because this is another game that goes really in-depth on how to play a comp that, honestly, I think a lot of people are playing incorrectly. It is one of the subtly hardest comps to play this entire set, one where I think a lot of people just think that it's as easy as, ABC, but really there's a lot more letters in there. So we start off here with a Shen 2. It is I believe, the Reroll Ionia, so I don't think we are very interested in that, but we do have a solid Bruiser opener to play with, so that's pretty cool. Pick up a Twisted Fate as well, and if you guys have played any amount of TFT over the past few days, then you know what this is leading us into here. We have, and with the Alawi 2, we have a very nice Bilgewater opener set up. Bilgewater, very easy to get into 3 Bilgewater with just the Twisted Fate and the Alawi, because you can just go for the 1.5 item slam onto the Twisted Fate, and that will unlock Graves. Now, here is the first big kind of decision point of the game, is we get dropped a sword here. And so there's actually 3 different slams available to us, right? All, I think, are reasonable for different reasons, and then we'll talk through why Dishsoap goes for what he goes for here. We have Steeraxe, which is a very solid tank item. You can throw that, well, tank damage item. You can throw that onto Gangplank. You can throw that onto Graves. BT, also a very similar item, healing damage. So it'll make your front line a bit beefier. And then Even Shroud, a very solid, frontline tank item. And, just something that you kind of need in this comp. You need Armor Shred in this comp. LW is fantastic in this comp because you can throw it onto a lot of units like Twisted Fate or Misfortune, and they can apply it really nicely. But, Even Shroud, perfectly solid as well. So, hey, I'm bringing you guys into the VOD review here. Think about what you guys would slam in this spot. Comment down below, maybe. And the answer is, what Dishsoap slams here is he makes Even Shroud and then slams the sword for Graves. Now, why do we slam Even Shroud here? A couple of reasons. One is that we do have these upgraded frontliners here. We have the Alawi 2 and the Shen 2, whereas we're just going to be stuck on a Graves 1. And so, getting an item onto Alawi 2 or Shen 2 is going to be a lot more impactful than an item on just the Graves 1. The other thing is this leaves sword open. Dishsoap really values IE in this comp because there's so many of these items, especially like Lucky Doubloon, which we will certainly talk about later. That's an item with crit on it. First Mate's Flintlock, I believe, has some crit on it. And so there are a lot of items that have crit on it. So you actually do really like an IE just to give you that spell crit with the crit. Okay, first augment here, Demacia Forever, Double Trouble, Prize Fighter. I mean, these two are obviously not really very takeable for the line that we're thinking of playing here. And then these two are pretty bad. And Prize Fighter, I think, is pretty solid as long as we can get one nice slam out of it. And we can here. So here's the next kind of question of, okay, what do we actually want to make in this spot? And if you go by the previous logic of the last slam, I think you can actually figure out what the slam's going to be. Well, there is a huge... I actually forgot about this. There's a huge wrench that goes into the game plan here, but I think it's really smart. Dish says, I could make Titans, sure, and then leave the sword open still for IE. But the problem with that is it's just not a great slam early onto Graves. He's not going to be proccing Titans very well because he's not going to be receiving aggro here. So I'm actually going to reforge the chain here, reforge his chain into Cloak here. And then, I was thinking, oh, well, okay, then I guess we'll just make BT and be done with it. But no, I mean, still in that idea of, saving for the Infinity Edge, our slam here is a Kraken's Fury here onto the Graves. And then the sword goes onto him as well here. So we just go for the triple item slam here. Might as well get all the stats stacked up onto the Graves here, and our board is going to be pretty strong pretty early here. So it's very interesting, but makes a lot of sense from the perspective of, we are really trying to prioritize these items. Now, here is, I will say, if there is something that is high roll in this game, it is this shop here. Double Gangplank shop here is really big here, allowing us to, the second we get a Gangplank in our Bilgewater shop, we are, going to have a GP2, and it is so easy to get GP2 on this board and then start just winning fights. Graves 2 also, really easy to pick up. The first one's basically free off of the Twisted Fate, and then you can get one from the Bilgewater shop and, one from a dupe, and you're done oftentimes at that point. So the Gangplank pair, fantastic here. Even better is the Gangplank 2 in this shop. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is a high roll spot, and I mean, I'm not going to lie to you and say that it's not a high roll spot, but the way that Dishsoap plays around this spot this game, I think is absolutely genius, and you will end up in this spot sometimes. Not necessarily, on 2-3, But there are often times on 2-5 where you have, Gangplank pair, and by 3-1 you have a GP2, and functionally your spot is actually no different from Dishsoap's. He just high rolled these GPs a little bit earlier and obviously didn't have to spend the silver serpents to get them. So I do really think I know people are going to yap about this game being high roll, but I really think this is, for reasons that you will see later in this game, a really, really, really good game to VOD review on Bilgewater, and shows a lot of how to play around this comp that people are just not doing correctly. All right, he does have the IE if he wants it on Carousel here, and I do think it's a fantastic slam onto this Gangplank here. The other nice thing about Kraken, by the way, I didn't really talk about it, is that just damage is king early. Getting as much damage as possible. Tankiness doesn't really matter. Now here, really, really interesting decision point. We find a 4th Gangplank in our shop here, and I think a lot of people would say, okay, awesome. We're going to pick up this Gangplank, and we're going to be on our way to Gangplank Reroll. We already have 4, and then we have 2 left that we're going to get from the duplicators, probably 1 from the shop, and we'll just teleport to GP3. No, Dishsoap is not going to hold on to this Gangplank in his shop. He's not going to purchase Gangplank from the shop here because it's going to kill our Econ. It's going to make it much harder for us to, get to our max, cap of actually pushing levels later, which is how people are playing around Bilgewater these days. And it's not really even something that we want to play for that much. Dishsoap really doesn't care that much about playing for GP3 because he knows it's going to be a lot stronger to play towards stuff like Misfortune and eventually stuff like Lucian and Senna. He's also doing this really smart positioning here where he back rows Briar. This allows him to keep his front row together, and the worst thing that you can do on boards like these is put Briar frontline, because what will often happen is Briar will take aggro first. If you put her like far onto the left there, she will die, and then Gangplank at that point will have walked up, and then he will receive aggro. Like he explains right now why he doesn't actually like this, putting Briar up here even in the middle of these units, because then Shen can kind of get separated from his frontline clump here. So he'd rather just have his clump there, focus fire stuff down, and yeah, put himself into a better spot positioning wise. Really, really smart from Mr. Soap here. At this point, you can start to kind of notice something interesting about how Dishsoap is playing this game. Is he's got 132 silver serpents here. He has not spent a single one yet, and he's not going to spend a single one for a good amount of time. Now, why is he doing this here? Well, if you guys know anything about Bilgewater, and maybe you do, maybe you don't, let's pull up the little buddy bot trait table for Bilgewater here, because this is actually really important if you guys haven't seen this yet. So Bilgewater, as you add more Bilgewater to the board here, you get the opportunity to see different amount of stuffs. So 3 Bilgewater, it's really good for picking up units. It has the Bilgewater dupes in here. It has the tier 1 units, which are all of these guys, the 1, 2, and 3 cost. So really good odds. If you're ever trying to find a Gangplank or a Nautilus and you're like trying to find your last one, it actually makes sense to tech down to 3 Bilge, because you can find these guys and you can find your Bilgewater lesser dupe. So if you want units, you want 3 Bilge. 5 Bilge is where you can start to see some of the items. You can also see tier 2 units, which is really nice, seeing a small chance of the Fizz and the Misfortune. The Fizz is guaranteed, so the Misfortune is really the one you're looking for on 5. But the really big thing you're looking for these days is obviously the lucky doubloon from Bilgewater tier 1. You get this, start generating serpents, and then your game goes crazy. This is going to be nerfed tomorrow, I think, to either tomorrow or Tuesday. They did say there's going to be a B patch, so there will very likely be a lucky doubloon nerf. But this is still really, really, I mean, Bilgewater, they're not trying to make Bilgewater unplayable, and I doubt they will. And so, we will certainly, still be seeing this comp, and still getting an early lucky doubloon is going to be good, just hopefully not so broken that it just like wins you the entire game. So this is the really important distinction between 3 Bilge, 5 Bilge, and then 7 Bilge. Actually, the big difference is you can see tier 3 units, so this is better odds to find stuff like Misfortune and Fizz. And the other big thing is you can see tier 2 items, just all the juicy items, the Pylo Citrus 700 HP and the shedding negative effects, the Deadman Stagger and First Mate's Flintlock, like all these really, really nice combat ones you can only get at 7. So that is the basic idea here. We're also, I love this slam here of the Gwinsu's Rage Blade here. I was actually thinking of making QSS here, but he just really wants, once again, like a good solid damage item here, and he's not too worried about the fact that we might not get to heal cut later, because that's the only downside to Gwinsu's is it kills our Morello/red buff component, but it's a good slam, pairs up really nicely with the Kraken, Gwinsu Kraken, a tale as old as time, and these items can, late game, end up going onto the Senolution, and we can feel really, really good about it. But you will see, okay, next augment here, Advanced Loan Plus, CB, Explosive Growth. I think there's actually a lot to say here. It's probably not explosive growth just because this is a bit too slow. We don't really want delayed effects. We either want a lot of gold right now or just, a lot of combat power right now. I think Dishsoap actually really likes Advanced Loan Plus a lot because it's a lot of gold. It's 33 gold. It's just a ton of money in your pocket. And if you actually on 4.2 downgrade gold to silver, it's really like not that big of a difference. Now, if you do downgrade Priz to gold, you're feeling pretty bad most of the time. So that is the big downside to this augment. You're kind of gambling that last augment is going to be a gold augment, and gold is pretty frequent in terms of portals. The upside to advanced loan here is this would actually allow us to go to level 7 really quickly, get that fizz online, and hopefully find Misfortune online as well. So this would be really nice. I do think CB is just too good in a spot like this because we have no healing onto the Gangplank right now. This is just such a nice pickup in this spot here to get some healing onto our GP. All we have is a little bit of healing from Slayer, but it's just not enough. So you'll see Dishsoap here going to level here, get just the Twisted Fate on this board, and you know, I think a lot of people would say, oh, well, you can find Nautilus in your 3 build shop, so why isn't he just buying out his shop here? Dishsoap saying, I'm guaranteed to find Nautilus eventually, and my board's strong enough right now that I don't really need Nautilus. Like the GP2 is strong enough here. So I'm just going to greed all of my serpents here, and I'm going to maximize the amount of serpents that I can roll on 5 bilge. And the reason why we're doing that is, one, because Bilgewater items are really strong. They're the strongest part of the trait, really. And because we do really want that lucky doubloon ASAP. So what we can do here is we can just go 7, especially after winning this next fight, as long as we do. We can go 7 on 3-5, roll for 1 Nautilus, or, you know, any of the other Bilgewater units. High rolling MF would be the dream. And once we get 5 Bilgewater in, boom, we can start looking for that lucky doubloon. This is also a really close fight, which just shows how broken Yordle is. I do wonder, yeah, I can't believe we lose this fight just to Yordle, but I mean, Yordle is just so disgusting. I mean, I'm curious actually if they are going to Apex. I mean, to be fair, it's Kennen too, and it's like all the Yordles upgraded, but you get a lot of them for free. So yeah, that comp is not normal. But I am curious to see. I assume there'll be some kind of nerf to Yordle tomorrow as well, but we will see. He has to take second cloak here just for declaw for a tank item, which I thought was really interesting. But okay, we're gonna level here. We have the fizz actually guaranteed this round. So yeah, he actually doesn't even roll here because he knows leveling up here, especially really just clean stuff, getting the Yordle in here. Fizz says you need 5 Bilge or Yordle units, and so he's got 4 unique Bilge units and then 1 Yordle unit in here. So that's going to guarantee Fizz, which is going to allow him to get 5 Bilgewater in next round, and is going to allow him to start digging for that lucky doubloon. Now it'll be a late lucky doubloon. You know, a 3-6 is not the earliest in the world, but it's still I mean, early enough that you will feel good about it. You're going to have it the rest of the game here. So now we can get Fizz in here. Yep, for our 5 bilge. Now we're going to buy our lowest cost things that we can buy here. We do pick up Nautilus there, pick up the dupe here, pick up everything, refresh, and then boom, we at the last second pick up the lucky doubloon there. So took all of our gold, but we managed to, or all of our silver serpents, but we managed to pick up the doubloon here, which is really huge. Remember, this really accelerates your ability to generate the silver serpents, and I mean, it's an item that has a few decent stats on it, so makes a lot of sense here. And then his next item that he has in shop is the Captain's Brew. So yeah, this is his board now. He can play 5 bilge for now. Opts actually, yeah, play the Koboko Yumi here. This is kind of just a really nice bruiser unit, and yeah, just gonna get out of Twisted Fate is kind of not the best build. Actually, he actually gets a little bit upset here. He's like, oh man, I should have actually sold that extra TF. I don't want TF2 just because this unit really does not do that much on this board here. So he's actually like sad that he wasted a little bit of gold on the TF there. All right. Last few items coming down the line here. Your guess is as good as mine, actually, what he makes here. Actually, no, I do remember what he does here. I did pre-watch this VOD because I was watching it on stream, actually. I thought he was going to say, okay, finally, I'll just make the Quicksilver and just live with it, and then hold the rod open for heal cut in this spot here. And I could, you could make a BT as well here. You could make like BT. You could either make BT or Quicksilver, and then I was thinking of just sitting on the rod here. Dishsoap makes a crazy play, though, and he's like, I want to play for strongest board here. I am just going to make this slam. I'm going to reforge the rod here, and this is going to allow me to actually get another slam, and I'm going to make TG here onto the Fizz, and then I even have BT here if I want to make it as well, and I can just throw that onto the Graves here. So a little bit crazy, but I mean, it makes sense from the perspective of like, all of these plays, all the early reforges, everything that he's doing is just optimizing for how strong our board can be in the moment, allowing us to farm those silver serpents and then get to as many as possible so that we can pick up the items and cap out really, really high. So it makes a ton of sense, but you know, it was crazy to me. All right, last augment here. We see Commerce Core, blech. I mean, the left one, Giant Mighty, is I think okay. He rolls Radiant Relics here. He does see Sweet Treats, and anytime you're playing this comp, you should probably be clicking the Sweet Treats augment because if you guys haven't played around it very much, your team gains 25 health for each item equipped. You get a lot of free items in this comp, and you have a lot of power just throughout your entire board here. So he's going to level up here. Actually, really wants to pick up the 8 Bilgewater here, trying to find Misfortune here. He actually thinks a while on this one. There's some decent options here. So you could think about something like Flicker Blades. It does have good synergy with the Gwynsu Kraken, but I do think it just has to be Seeker's Armgard. We have a Swain already that we can throw it onto, or not Seeker's, Horizon Focus. Horizon Focus is just too good with Swain. This guy stuns like basically the entire board and then just nukes them. So yeah, we do make the dupe there actually for the Nautilus as well. Once again, showing that Dishsoap does not prioritize, you know, making 3 stars in this comp. All he really cares about is being strong for now and then pivoting these items to better units late game. You can see the Fizz doing work. You can see the GP doing work. And once again, look at our Silver Serpents here, 178. We are being really greedy with these Silver Serpents because we know that our highest priority here is just finding items with them. So he's actually scouting a bit because he's seeing there's some Misfortunes out here. See his Ornn here, who you could actually very much think about playing here. Yeah, he does end up playing the Ornn here over the Briar. You lose out on obviously Slayer, but you get the Ornn here, which is going to farm us an Ornn artifact down the line by 5-2. So I mean that's totally fine, and especially when we rotate into somebody like this, a Yordle board with a bunch of Econ augments that we can beat. I mean that is amazing news for us. So yeah, looking good. The spot is chilling. He actually throws TF into the planner there just so that he's like, so I can sell this TF2 and unmake him down to a TF1, which is so funny. But yeah, I mean, our board's still very strong with just the upgrades that we get off of Bilge. Really no Bilge items to speak of here, right? He could have picked up the Captain's Brew that he has in shop. I think it's the Captain's Brew is the one that he has right now. But once again, he knows we're in a good spot here. Let's just play max cap TFT. Let's greed here and let's wait for us to pick up a Misfortune. Because if we take that shop refresh that he's looking at there, that Bilgewater refresh, that is going to give us 4 Bilgewater shops all on 5 Bilge, and we do not want that. We want to see the 7 Bilge shops so that we can get the better Bilge items. That's what, you know, really pops off late game is those you know, things like the First Mate's Flintlocks, like the oranges, all of that kind of stuff. So very smart from Mr. Dishsoap here to play max cap. He does actually get really frustrated because this player is holding an MF and then another MF, so they're holding 4 MFs, but we do finally find our Misfortune here, which is going to allow us to tech back into 7 Bilgewater, or I guess into 7 Bilgewater in the first place, find Black Market explosives and the Dead Man's Dagger here. Just fantastic pickups, and then we move the the last item back down here. We tech down into to 6 Bilgewater here, which is a little bit of a miss from Dishsoap, but he wanted to make sure that we had Ornn on the board so that Ornn can stack this round, because if we don't, we will feel very bad. So beautiful stuff from Dishsoap, and now we have 2 full items here, and we're working on our way to another Bilgewater item, which is just, this is how the comp caps out so high. It's just, you get all of these just full items for free. I mean, some of these are, you know, like the level of a full item plus a little bit. Like these are really good items. He is actually, opts to start pivoting his board now and says, okay, it's 4-7. I need to start getting out of the 7 Bilge. It's a little just late to be playing this year, so we're going to start pivoting down to the better units. What's kind of interesting is that we're pretty broke here in terms of gold here. So yeah, he's going to roll deep here. Needs to find the Misfortune 2 here to really be strong here. Does find the Misfortune, which is big here, and it is going to move the IE down here. IE Kraken, Dead Man's Dagger is going to be the build here, and then he's going to move the Explosive up to the Fizz, and then just TG here. So not all concerned about, you know, playing 7 Bilge forever here. Knows that there has to be a point where we can get out of it. And once again, we already have in our shop the next damage item that we want to get out of Bilge, because we had 7 in earlier. So we don't even have to feel that bad about the fact that we've teched down to 5 here, and the upside is our board gets to be a bit stronger here. We get to fit in all of these nice traits here. And yeah, First Mate's Flintlock, it's a while away, but we'll eventually get there. We get our item here, which is a Luden's Echo here. Just still makes kind of a crazy call here, but I think it makes a lot of sense, is that he's going to Luden's the Misfortune, just because a lot of the other units are just not really going to do anything with the Luden's effect here. And this allows us to put Kraken onto the Graves here. So it just allows us to kind of maximize our items as much as possible here. Now, we do rotate into a Silas 2 here. This is the stage 5 doldrums of this comp here. I feel like so often you hit your great board, you feel really good, and then, you know, like 5-1, 5-2, you rotate into just some disgusting Annie board. So that is, you know, life. But we can continue to chill in this board for a few more rounds. We're still relatively strong here with a lot of these early upgrades. We at least have the MF2. Need a bit more of an upgraded front line here. And it's actually a little bit of a scary spot at this point from Dishsoap. He's farmed all of these items here, but we are a little bit we're getting kind of low, right? We're taking these big losses here, but hopefully the Fizz and the MF can carry us with all these really, really fantastic Bilgewater items. We actually fight the Bilgewater mirror here. This guy made it to Nautilus 3, which is, if there is a 3-star that you do look for, it is Nautilus in this comp. The main reason is that you can play him later. Usually you're pivoting down to 3 Bilge late game, and Nautilus is one of the 3 you play. Usually play Misfortune plus the Nautilus plus obviously the Thomas Kench. So yeah, we have last tank item here. He actually opposite Spark here, just saying I have the damage from my artifact. I have the damage from Fizz here, so some MR Shred, not bad here. Really close to the Flintlock here, but not quite there yet, so we're just gonna have to hold the line for one more round here until we get to pick that up. And we are gonna have to figure out where our items are gonna go, because First Mate's Flintlock kind of has to go into Misfortune, so your items are kind of going to have to be IE plus the Deadman one plus the Flintlock, which means we're gonna have to move Ludens up, which means it's probably gonna have to go into Fizz, which means one of these Fizz items is gonna have to move. I mean, no matter how you do it, one of these items is gonna have to go into an awkward spot here. You just, as is often the case, you have too many items in Bilgewater. But all right, we get up to the 294 here, 324 actually after everything here. Does buy, yeah, this is so smart here. Once again, text the 7 Bilgewater in so that he can get the next Bilgewater item in his shop here. Just really, really nice stuff from Dish here. Going to slam all these items here is actually, so what happens here is he's about to slam IE onto Misfortune, and then I think Prestivant comes into his chat and says, IE has really bad stats on Misfortune. Now, I'm pretty sure those were like absolute noob trick stats, and the reason why IE looks bad on Misfortune is the games where IE gets stuck on Misfortune are bad games, and the games that are good are the games where you make it to Senna Lucian and she gets the IE. So he gets a little bit tricked by Prestivant here and ends up making Guard Breaker on MF, which I don't think really can be any better here, but it's that's life, I guess. He just you know, everybody is can be a victim of statistics at some time. All right, we are now able to go 9 here. Very, very brokely, but we do make it there, and we do get to pick up the Swain 2 at this point here. So now we can just start building out the rest of our tank items. Going to move this Flicker Blade actually down to Misfortune because he knows the Guard Breaker kind of has to sit with the IE, and they're both going to go to Twisted Fate here until we can find a Senna Lucian. I will say the Senna Lucian, especially with this Annie comp that plays Senna Lucian being so popular, is one of the hardest units in the game to find. It is just so gross in terms of the ability to find it, and it's you just kind of have to pray sometimes that you find it in this comp, especially if you're not taking like Giga Econ augments here. Finds this Shiv in this shop, by the way, which you really, you know, you'd be happy to play here, but he doesn't actually have the gold to play it, so just gets stuck on this board here playing the Ambessa here, which is wild. Makes his swap over to here, and we rotate into this other player who has a very strong board as well with the Renekton here, and so he's just trying to buy his upgrades at the last second here. Swain doing good work, MF doing good work as well. The Fizz doing his best, does a ton of damage here, but I mean, this is a Silas 2. The MF gets a lot of damage off, and check this out, by the way. We have Celestial Blessing. We win this fight, and it's a top 2. Look at the board that we just beat there, by the way, because I thought for sure this game was just going to be a 4th here after losing this fight. Look at this board, by the way. Silas 2, Renekton 2. Silas 2 actually rolled pretty good items on TG. Shyvana 2, Kindred 2, level 9, Giga capped out, but we just win the fight because I mean, our Karma Dogs are good. Our Karma Dogs are very good. We have all of these items for, like, if he had not greeted Bilgewater as hard as he did this game, and he had one less Bilgewater item, this game would have been an easy loss. We would have gone 4th this game. Instead, we win this fight, and it's a top 2 at least here. We pick up Lucian Senna at the last second here. Ended up actually putting the items on TK at the last second in that other setup, which is funny. So Lucian Senna's gonna have to get some slightly awkward items, but you know, not the end of the world here. We can just throw them here, and I don't think he even has a space left for this lucky doubloon, so he's gonna have to chill there. All right, rotate back into this guy as well here, who has a very, very strong board. The Fizz trying to do his bestest to win the fight, but it will not be a dub. It will be a top 2 for this comp. So, I mean, just a beautifully played game, just an absolute masterclass from Dishsoap. I just think this was such a smart game, showed perfectly how to play this Bilgewater comp and how to cap around. And yes, the comp will get nerfed tomorrow, but there is so much that you can do in your skill expression from all the stuff that Dishsoap did this game that will obviously be the case for, you know, going into post nerfs. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my Twitch for Metafy. All my links down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching as always.